Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is 15 games from 2023 that I still want to play. This video is actually a series of two different video series that I'm doing. The first is I'm doing a bunch of videos on 2023 lookbacks. I do this at the beginning of each year, where I take a look not back at the beginning of the past year, but at the year before, so there's been a full year and then some to go ahead and get to these games, try these games, and all of that. There are a bunch of videos I'm doing from the best games of 2023, the hidden gems of 2023, the games that faded for me in 2023, and then this video over here, the games I still want to play the most from 2023 that I still have not gotten to and am far, far overdue on. The second video series, I'm doing a bunch of kind of New Year's resolutions videos on games I want to play, and to that end I'm doing 3 videos on that, the 15 games I want to play from 2023, the 10 games I most want to play from my unplayed games, and then 10 games on BGA that I still want to learn and understand, learn and play games on Board Game Arena. And so this is part of those 2 video series. But to dive into these 15 games, I'll have timestamps to everything down below. This is not, just to set expectations, this is not a review of these games. This is not an in-depth analysis of every aspect of these games. There's going to be some more detailed notes on why I want to play one game or another. These are ranked in order from least to most want to play from these 2023 titles, but again, some will be like, the game looks cool, I want to play it, and others will be like, it has this and this mechanic and those mechanics, and from this designer, that's why I want to play it. So just to set expectations on whether this video is for you or not. And with that, let's go ahead and start off with a number 15, which is Freelancers, a Crossroads game. I should note, by the way, a decent, I want to say like 8 or 9 of these I already own or have coming, so some of them I still have to track down and get my hands on in order to actually play, but the rest I have access to, so now it's just an issue of reading those rules and diving into them. But starting off with Freelancers a Crossroads game, this is lower down primarily because I don't know realistically between the player count of it, I don't know if it's as realistic for me to table it. It is one that I do want to table, but it doesn't work as well at lower player counts, and the last time I played one of the Crossroads games, Dead of Winter, I didn't love it. But I've heard a lot of good things about both Forgotten Waters and Freelancers, not that I've played either of them, but Freelancers is still one that's on my radar to hopefully possibly table one day. I would say from these over here, oh, and I should note as well, with all these videos, I will at the end of the year be doing a look back at the 35 games I'm covering to see if I could get to at least 30 of them. And if I had to guess, I would say Freelancers is probably the least likely one that I'll be getting to table, but we'll see. This is why it's number 15. It's number 15 for a reason. Moving on to number 14 over here, we have Kutná, Hora, the City of Silver, one that I've heard good and mixed things about, although a 7.8 rating with a 3,700 ratings is certainly not bad, but Kutná, Hora from CGE, I was never pulled in by the box cover, but the gameplay itself does look compelling and interesting. It's one that I do own, so at least that hurdle is gone. I said Freelancers I don't own, but I do have a copy in our game group rotation. Kutná, Hora is one that I do own, want to table it, but coming from CGU, they don't put out a ton of these big box Euro games, but 1 or 2 big ones come out a year, and they are worth paying attention to, and a 7.8 is certainly nothing to sneeze at. Combined with the market economy of the game does have a market economy. It also has like an additional, they had like a wood material they use, or kind of a recycling-ish material that they used for this game, which was interesting, but that's regarding the components, not the gameplay. But the actual game did look, I've never learned the game, but I've seen it like loosely demoed at conventions, and it does look intriguing, and again, the rating does not hurt, so this is why Kutná, Hora is on the list. Coming in at number 13, we have Vadis. Vadis is one that I actually did learn. I own it, I learned it. Again, the player count is the main limiter here, which is, it's playable at 3 players, but it's best at higher player counts, and that means I haven't gotten this to the table yet. I've brought it to a few events at times where I had a bunch of friends hoping to table it, but I've never gotten it properly tabled, which is something that I would love to fix at some point. The short game time makes it easy. It's really just a player count that I need to get resolved in order to actually table this, so one day, or perhaps I'll give up and play it at a lower player count. I regularly get 2 and 3 players to the table. Once we go to 4 and higher, it is more situational. It's a balance of trying to manage game groups where half the games you play are better at 3 or less, and then a few games are better at 4 or more and trying to manage that. Either way, these are my problems, not yours. I hope I can get Vadis tabled by the end of the year. It should be doable. It should be doable. I just need honestly a 4th player. It says best with 5, but 4 is already enough of a step upwards over here that I should table it even at 4. Coming up next, we have Delta. Delta from Game Brewer, which unfortunately Game Brewer shut down, but Delta coming in at 7.3 does not inspire the most confidence, but the look of the game and the mechanics do interest me. As much as ratings are a factor for me, ratings do matter as far as my interest level in a a game. But more important than the ratings is, does the mechanics, does something about the game actually draw me in? If the art looks good and the mechanics look good, I would rather try a 7.3 with good art and mechanics that appeal to me over playing an 8.1 where the art and or mechanics do not appeal to me. You have to know yourself just as much as you do have to use the ratings. Again, ratings are a factor for me, but it's not the be all and end all, or else this entire list would be ranked in order of ratings and nothing else. But at a 7.3, it's a little lower down on my list just because of that. That does dull some of the excitement. It's not bad, but it's not like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But again, the presentation looks good. The game time comes in a reasonable amount. Plays well at 2 to 4 players. Best at 3, which again is very common for Euro games. And overall, the abilities, the presentation, like some of the art over here in general in the game, just really pulled me in. Like these characters, I want to play as the characters. I want to mess with this board. I don't know a ton about the actual gameplay, but I do own it and should be able to table it. Coming in at number 11, are we at 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Coming in at number 11, we have Star Trek Away Missions. This is great at 2 players, which should be doable. This is a game that's coming in at around an hour to 2 hours, or 60 to 90 minutes. It's one that I remember I read a review a long time ago about the game, which is the reason I wanted to get this game, and I do have this game, I should note. It's the reason why I wanted to get this, because I read a review that really talked it up. Now again, a 7.5 is good, not great, but nonetheless, the review alone was enough to pull me into it. I like the general semi-chibi nature of the miniatures. I like it in Star Trek, I like it in Marvel United, I like it over here as well, although I need to, and this is when I actually have learned the rules once in order to play it, and then promptly 6 months went by and I didn't actually table it, which then made it harder to table it again, so I'll have to relearn the various rules. But it's basically a skirmish game. It's a skirmish game set in the Star Trek universe that has, you know, it looks cool. It looks cool, it looks the kind of game I enjoy, which is why I want to try this. Coming in at number 10, we have the first of a few that I don't actually own. Number 10 over here is Disney Animated. This is one where I don't own, although the fact that I'm on the Marketplace tab means I may have been trying to solve that problem today. We'll see where that goes. But Disney Animated over here, coming in at 7.4, although this time it actually scares me a little less. And this just comes down to the knowing ratings and target audiences and games. You see, Disney Animated is a game about trying to make the actual movies. You're trying to, like, thematically produce 5 classic Disney films. The player count comes in at 2 to 4 players, plays best at 3, but plays well at all player counts. Game time comes in a little under an hour, depending. It could be let's say the hour range. And then the actual game does seem very charming, very cool. Looks like the kind of game that I'd enjoy for a lighter weight game, which is where the rating doesn't bother me. When you have something like Delta or Star Trek Away Missions, which are slightly heavier games in theory, those games, not heavy, but slightly heavier, that's where the rating matters more to me. Versus a lighter, more gateway game having a lower rating, that usually makes sense from what I expect to see on these kinds of games, which means it doesn't scare me off quite as much over here. It's a whole bunch of stuff with ratings and target audience and all that, but I am very intrigued by this one. I love the idea of the acrylic overlays. This is one that I was very excited when it first came out, and I kind of forgot it existed. Like, I never got it when it came out, and then I just forgot about it until I was going through the games in 2023 to put together this list, and I was like, I never played Disney Animated. I never even got Disney Animated, so I reached out to some people to buy a copy, and we'll see where this one goes. Coming in at number, that's 15, that's 10, 9. Coming in at number 9, we have Evacuation. Now, coming in at 7.6, and 7.6 usually is the point where I think it's already a notch above. Granted, 7.6, 7.5 is a 0.1, but nonetheless, it's usually where I think it's already moved to another echelon. This is designed by Vlad Masucci, and it came out in, well, 2023, which is the nature of this video, but it's a 1 to 4 player game, plays best at 2 to 3 players, plays in around 2 hours or so, and thematically it's all about moving populations from one planet to another. You're evacuating a dying planet, which thematically has me incredibly interested in the game, and again, the rating-wise comes in well enough that I'm very intrigued by this one, and this is another one that I do have a copy, so I just need to learn the rules and prioritize it, which is always going to be the challenge, because I want to prioritize 17 games at any given moment in any given day. But Evacuation, again, I think thematically it's incredibly interesting. Combine that with an accessible player count, an accessible game time, and a well-known, well-respected designer, and this coming to you from Delicious Games, yeah, I'm very interested. My number 9. My number 8 is Bloodstones. The second of, I think, do I own everything else? I think this is the only other one I don't actually own over here. Bloodstones is the only other one I don't own. Coming in at number 9, I think I lost track, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Coming in at number 8, we have Bloodstones, ranked at a 7.6, which again puts it in that tier, the little notch above. Thematically, I believe, it says best with 3 to 4 players, which is interesting. I thought it was best at lower player counts. Sorry for my head careening to the side of the screen over there, which you can't see this part, but it's rated well enough at 2. It really does look like 3 higher is the optimal player count, which I didn't realize. For some reason in my head I thought this was a 2-player game, even though it's basically just area control, which usually works better at 3 or 4 players. Easily enough, 3 is rated as 3 and 4 are both rated as good player counts to dive into. Designed by Martin Wallace, published by Wallace Designs. Anything by Martin Wallace already has me interested. I've never played a game of his that I didn't like. Usually I like them or I love them, one or the other. Obviously the creator of Brass Birmingham, the #1 game of all time. But he does a lot of games that often have a lot of cards as their main economy, utilizing cards for a variety of reasons. Although in this case he uses these chips. You're going to create these armies, but then be discarding these chips for a variety of purposes in order to go ahead and recruit more units to move around the board, things like that. So it kind of seems like a little bit of a Martin Wallace design with a dash of Undaunted kind of vibes thrown into it. Plays very differently, but some elements of the same. But yeah, has me interested. I like area control. I like Martin Wallace. I like games that are rated a 7.6 or above apparently. So this is my number 8. Coming in number 7, we have Barcelona coming in at 7.8. That's already top tier kind of work over there. The higher you go, the harder it is to climb. So like as soon as you get to a 7.6, it gets harder and harder and harder to move up. Like you don't go, the rating scale is not from 7.6 to 10. Like an 8.4 is like, oh my gosh, the best of the best of the best. So again, realistically, once you cross 7.6, you're already in that the last possible tier of reasonability to achieve. Does that make sense? Those words kind of work. Anyways, Barcelona over here from Board and Dice. I've heard a lot of good things about this. Again, the best player count being at 3, but it works well at 2 as well. I actually do know the rules to this one. I have this one. Well, I mostly know the rules. I watched the rules video, but haven't read the rule book yet. It's just a good starting point, but I do often find a rule book is nearly essential for me to be able to teach the game as opposed to just playing it. I can watch a rules video and kind of follow along enough, but if I'm going to teach the game, I have to read the rule book. Usually, not always. There are exceptions. But it has me intrigued. I have the expansion for this as well. The overall game puzzle seems like an interesting optimization puzzle as far as how you build out the city, where you go, what you go, and all that. It looks intriguing, plays at a reasonable playtime, looks like that mid-weight Euro. In general, Board and Dice have had a bunch of these recently that I've enjoyed. Reef Project, Windmill Valley, all of those. So Barcelona, definitely one I'd love to dive into soon. Coming in at number 6, we have Earthborne Rangers, possibly the highest ranked one on this list. Earthborne Rangers coming in at 8.2. In general, incredibly well-received game, playable, very playable solo, but best at 2 players. This is kind of a general build your deck, go out exploring. It's a very much an LCG adjacent. It's not an actual LCG, but it has that deck building aspect and adventuring around. More Arkham Horror. Well, I guess Arkham Horror is an LCG, but it has those kinds of vibes as you go through it. I'm very intrigued by it. I like the theme of the game. I've heard good things about the gameplay. In general, this is one that I do have coming. I don't actually own this right now, but I do have a copy coming from the last campaign they had. So yeah, Earthborne Rangers, my number 6. 9, 8, 7, 6 over here. Yep, 6. Coming in number 5, we have Scholars of the South Tigris, an 8.1 just behind Earthborne Rangers. I generally have bounced off Garfield games. Garfield games in the past have not worked for me the same way they have for others. They are incredibly well received, incredibly well liked, and for me, I've usually enjoyed them but not loved them. But my favorite by far is not Scholars, but Wayfarers of the South Tigris is my favorite by far, which has me interested in trying out all the games in the South Tigris series, because, again, don't get me wrong, on the one hand, if most of their games haven't worked for me, there's a decent chance this is going to fall into the most as opposed to the exception. But because it's part of the South Tigris series, I definitely want to try it out and see if it is for me or not. I thought Wayfarers was incredible, I love that game, and I would love to see if Scholars is the same tier or the same level for me. Again, coming in at that hour and a half or so playtime, best at 3 players, again, very standard for Euro games. Overall, just looks like there's a lot going on here. The weight class coming in at 4.06, this is definitely a lot happening in this game, but it's one that I do have a copy, do need to learn, and do need to play, and hopefully will make happen. Coming in at number 4, we have Arkeis, a 7.6. Not, oh my gosh, amazing, but still good enough, especially for this legacy game that was long overdue. Like, I wonder how many ratings, actually, I do wonder. I wonder how many ratings are negatively rating the game for the length of time it took. I wonder. You see, like, I don't know. I'd have to go through these, but I do assume there's some degree of hit on the ratings just from how overdue this project was. Like, these are things that, are these from when the game delivered? I don't even know. Either way, I'm curious about that. But Arkeis is a legacy game that has you going through a series of adventures. You're going through these dungeons over here, facing off against the various beasts. It's got great miniatures, good production. I've read the rules. I'm ready to play. I just need to finish some of the games I'm currently in the middle of before I actually table this. As the time of filming this, I'm in the middle of Clank, a legacy, as well as Primal campaign, as well as Tenera's campaign, as well as Iridia. So I'm actively in the middle of 4 different campaigns or legacy games, and so I need to finish one of those before, I'm also technically in the middle of Divinus, but I don't know if I'm being actively engaged with that one. Either way, I need to finish some of those before I dive into Arkeis, but it's very high on my list. Again, ready, prepped to go, all of that, just need to start playing it. Coming in number 3, Assault on Doomrock Ultimate Edition, pulling a 7.7, so again, good up into that great category. Assault on Doomrock is a re-theming of an older title, a re-implementation, not re-theming, re-implementation of the original Assault on Doomrock. This is the Ultimate Edition, the most recent version of it. I have this game, I backed it, very excited for when it arrived, and then promptly went on the shelf and did not get played, which happens to some games. Some games get played right away, others wait until you decide to prioritize it. But Assault on Doomrock, I've had it for a bit now, and I've heard good things about the game. It is best with ones. This is really one of those games that I need to just sit there when I have a day to myself where I'm not doing anything else, which never ever happens, but theoretically could happen, and then just sit down and table this game. Sessions come in an hour or so, which is really not bad, and I've heard good things. And also, to prioritize this even further, I believe that I think they have, do they have stuff coming? I believe they have stuff coming. But either way, Assault on Doomrock, this is my number 3. My number 2 is Darwin's Journey. This one's being pulled by the rating alone. Another 8.2 along with Earthborne Rangers. The general Euro category of it, that midweight Euro is just shy of a 4 in terms of the weight class, so midweight to heavyweight. The sheer amount of popularity around this, it's an 8.2 with 8,300 ratings. That's an incredible accomplishment to pull off. It's just shy of the top 100 games on BGG. I did back this, I have a copy. I just didn't prioritize it. The cover doesn't pull me in. Honestly, this is one of those games that I didn't really back at first, and only like the last minute I kind of pushed myself over the edge. And I'm happy I did because I've heard a ton of good things about this, so I am happy I own it, but ultimately I need to table it for it to be worth it, and coming in at best at 3, there's a lot. I mean, I've been playing Unconscious Mind, I've been playing a lot of Wondrous Creatures. I've been playing a bunch of these Euro games. I just played Coimbra again for a lot. There's so many games. There's not enough time, but Darwin's Journey, it seems to be rated well enough that I should be trying to give it that time. And then coming in at number 1, the highest ranked on this list, we have an 8.7, which is a little bit insane. An 8.7 with Dune, Imperium, Uprising, already ranked number 17 on BGG, climbing alongside its older brother, Dune Imperium. Uprising is one that I should be playing. There's so much enjoyment around this game. So many people love this version of Dune Imperium. Even after all the upsetness around, oh, you released a new core set, people still, what's the right word for it? They got pulled towards this. There's a word I'm missing out on where people effectively got rallied around it. They rallied around it. Okay, that's not the word I'm looking for. But Dune Imperium Uprising ranked incredibly highly. People have said incredibly good things about this game despite being upset about that reimplementation. And so I should be playing it. I have a copy. I got a copy almost right away because I love Dune Imperium, and then I proceeded to keep playing the version I had instead of learning and playing the new version, even though it's not that much of a burden. So I should be doing this. I should be trying to learn and play Dune Imperium Uprising. There's no reason not to. I already know the core structure. I should make this happen. This is my number 1 on this list. It should be it should be my number 1 on this list because of how much I appreciate and enjoy the last game, and how easy it would be to just learn and table this game. So I have no excuse. I just need to make this happen, and hopefully it will happen. And so that's my number 1 most want to play from 2023. And so that's what we have over here. 15 games from 2023 that I haven't played yet, but really want to. I think most of these are going to be tableable. I talked about how they'll be at the end of the year. I'll do a recap of the 35 games I wanted to play and see what I actually made happen. The ones I'm worried about in this list, I would say, are mostly Freelancers. That's the biggest one I'm worried about. Bloodstones, I have to get a copy. That's going to be a little bit of a hurdle there, or try at a convention, which maybe I'll do that at some point. And the rest of them, I think I should be able to get to most of them. I wonder if I'll get to all, but if I'm only giving myself 5 games that I'm willing to miss out across the 35, I need to start. I need to start playing. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, hopefully I'll have tabled at least one of these, but we'll see. In any case, until next time, let me know in the comments down below what games from 2023 you've missed out on that you're still trying to table. I'm curious what other ones I either have played or just don't have enough of interest in, or alternatively, just let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, and until next time, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.